Welcome to class, all you pickleball champs. You are in 452 Advanced Doubles Game Film Analysis. Today we are going to be analyzing the PPA Championship match between Johnson and Frazier versus Tellez and Staksrud, which occurred between July 27th and July 30th, 2023. If this is your first time here, this series, or course as we call it, is designed for advanced players who want to get better and understand the game of pickleball at a much deeper level. If you are looking to improve your game, start playing tournaments, thinking of becoming a coach yourself, or simply want to stop losing and not understand why, this course is for you. This course is in depth. It is game film analysis where we slow things down, pick professional play apart, and understand the mistakes which are holding people back from winning. Therefore, if this is what you have been looking for to take your enjoyment of pickleball to the next level, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. I'm your professor. Class is in session. Okay, we're going to back this up, and I'm going to quickly go over which player is who in case this is the first time you are seeing some of this. On the screen right now in a white shirt, playing with a black Selkirk paddle, is Frazier. On his right-hand side, also in a white shirt, is Johnson there at the top of the screen. And moving forward here, on the right-hand side of the screen, gray hat, blue shirt, long greenish sleeves. That is Tellez. Obviously, you'll see his name spelled Tellez. The L's are silent. And then on his left is Staksrud. And we'll get a better picture of his face. But he is also in a grayish type hat. His hat is backwards, black shirt. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into this first point. If this is your first time watching, we always watch the point fully out to begin with so you can see the standard speed of play, and then we back it up and go through the point again. Pretty good long point starting things off here. Okay, let's take a look back. Obviously, Johnson speeds one up for the winner, so I'm not going to back it up for the entire point, but I'm going to back it up a couple. Let's take a look at this again. Yeah, Johnson just felt that he got that ball high enough to where he could attack it. Let's take a look here. So here's the back hand dink, which does come a little bit high. From this camera angle, kind of hard to see exactly how high that is. But the one thing that's the most important is that Johnson is able to flick that backhand and the ball is going straight down. As you can see from that hit and the three following frames, the ball never has to come back up. So we can compute from that the ball is above the net at his impact point of here because it's going straight and going straight down. And that's what makes it a good attackable ball and how he's able to put the winner away. Now, as you can see, that Tellez and Staksrud are a left hand right hand combo. So forehands right now are in the middle. So it doesn't really matter who he goes at. It's going to be their forehand when he's taking it down the middle. But he does actually go across into the body of Staksrud to get to his backhand. So normally you wouldn't want to attack cross court, but in this case he's doing that specifically to go into the body and get it onto Staksrud backhand to get him to have the error. So a very good decision by Johnson here. Keeps his body very still and then just attacks that pop-up. So with that, good point. Let's move on to the next one. I do fast forward to try and take out time between waiting on the serve. I have a feeling this championship game is going to see a lot of control, a lot of dinking. Okay, let's see where the mistake was there, because Johnson went right back at it, playing on going for the speed up. Okay, ball is coming across. Johnson is one of the best of having very little movement. He's almost always ready for the ball, and he really tries to speed this one back up. And so here's what you can see. His paddle goes up right there. I'm going to draw this for you guys. Give me 1 second. See his paddle right here, and that's the line of the ball. So his paddle, unfortunately, has gotten above the apex of the ball. And as we move forward, I'm going to erase that off so you can see it again. I just want to really point that out. As we move forward, you will see that he doesn't really get it underneath enough. And because he takes the ball past the kitchen line, there's not enough lift and goes into the net. But let's see here. I think Tellez got lucky on one because he takes this ball below the net. I may have actually even touched it just barely, maybe not. But he's definitely having to bring that ball up, so it doesn't have much pace. So it's really a mishit by Johnson. And let's be completely honest, Tellez definitely got lucky that Johnson just missed on that point. We're definitely going to see at this level, that's one of the reasons why I also do semifinal matches, we do quarterfinal matches, because a lot of things at this level with the pros are just slight misses. They're not making a lot of mistakes. As I say that, pretty clear mistake right there. So let's back this up. This is one of the tough things when you stack forehands down the middle is whose ball is this? So Johnson does a great job of saying, okay, I'm going to put this ball right between the middle. I'm not trying to avoid your forehands. I'm going to have you guys try and have a disagreement. And so here's a good example of what I very much try and communicate a lot. One of the big mistakes here is, let's take a look at our team. Okay, so I know this isn't a perfectly straight line, but for those of you who have seen this before, this, as we like to call, is kind of zone 1 or area 1. This is 2, and the kitchen is 3. I just try and keep these concepts really, really simple because people will say transition zone. Well, there's a difference of the transition zone if you were, I'll use yellow. Well, what if we were, here? Well, that's definitely different than being here, right? And so that's one of the reasons we just do this very clear line right in the middle at 2. So the issue that actually comes in for Tellez and Staksrud is that they are exactly in the same place at the same time. They're moving up in parallel instead of having one person at a zone and another person at the zone back. So let's erase all this, get a clear view of this, and now let's back up the point. And what we would really want to do is see, here's where it is good. So we have Staksrud is correct. He waits. He has his teammate hitting a drop shot. He gets to number 2 and he stops. He doesn't stop him because it's really high. That ball doesn't come off actually with that much pace. He's stopping because he had that plan to begin with. He's going to stop when the ball is crossing the plane of the net. That's how they got to this championship. Our issue is that, in my opinion, Tellez kept going forward when he shouldn't have. He should have stayed back a little bit behind his teammate, and they both just end up in the same space, and they can't see each other, which is what caused this. Like, Staksrud would have easily hit this ball back in. It gets bumped by his teammate's paddle and then goes out. And so that's the big thing where you want to have, like this, you want to have one teammate at, let me draw it out again. We want to have one teammate at level 2, and we want to have one at 1, and then you would both progress again. Then Staksrud would move forward to 3, aka the kitchen line, and Tellez would move to 2. So hopefully that explains the concept, because a lot of people see what occurred to these two, and they don't really understand, well, I guess that's just bad communication. It's actually bad positioning, which would then remove, you don't have enough time to talk in this 1/10 of a second with the ball coming, of communicate and figure out who's getting what. It's an instant reaction, and so you have to be in a position where that actually makes sense. Okay, moving on to the next point. Here we go. looks like we'll just back this up. This is one of the #1 things that you will see in pickleball in comparison to tennis is the runaround forehand that goes in the net. So I just wanted to look at this ball. This ball is up plenty high, especially in pickleball. It's knee height or higher. And then because he drove it cross, it's able to generate more spin and actually comes down and just catches the top of the tape. I guarantee it's an early point in the match. But this is one of the big things is one of the benefits of doing drops is because you just gave that away that quickly. And so I would have preferred that when Tellez saw that he had to go around this ball to drop it instead of drive it, because you're going to have a higher statistical probability. Because in essence, let's take a look at that. He almost catches it at the apex. I'd say the apex is probably here, and now it's coming down. It's a little tough to see with the shadow, but I believe that's another factor of why that ball missed. But, I mean, once again, complete top of the net. It almost is rolling along the net. Gave Frazier there a good scare. But, once again, I would prefer to see that as a drop once you're running around to your forehand. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Okay, it's Johnson's turn to serve. Good drop by Frazier. And now we're going to get into a dink battle. You can see how much control all four of these gentlemen have. And that's what got them to the championship, is being able to do this and put the ball exactly where they want. And they're looking to try and get their team on the defense. Okay, let's take a look at that. Obviously, Johnson is known for being aggressive. Here's a good example. He won earlier a couple points ago, taking a similar shot out, but he impacted the ball. This is actually a fantastic frame that this froze on, because we have his knee right here. That ball out of the air is maybe an inch above his knee, if that. And so the biggest thing when we look at this, and we'll speed it up a couple frames. Look at that. That is the issue, is the ball is just too low. And even if he had not hit the tape, as we like to call it, or the net, the top of the net, that ball probably would have sailed out given the power that he hit it at, or it would have been an easy shot. But once it hits the tape, aka the top of the net, it's just go time for Staksrud to crush a backhand on him. It basically became a pop-up. So in my opinion, this ball, where Johnson thought it was higher and he'd already committed to it and he's reaching, that's where the issue comes down. He didn't think that ball. He thought that ball was going to float a little bit higher, and what he really should have done is done a kind of a little volley dink and waited till he forced a better pop-up. This, as you can see, that ball, even though it gets into the body and a little bit back on Tellez, doesn't anywhere get him onto the defensive footing that you would really like to see. So a little too aggressive on Johnson's part, and definitely trying to speed up too low of a ball, which is what causes the error. Okay, great. Let's move on to the next point. It is now Frazier's turn to serve. Looks like just a poor miss on that. A little too soft. Decided to go straight on instead of across, and so he hit it too softly. But a good soft drop with probably a decent amount of spin on it by Johnson. So let's move on to the next one. Third shot drive to give themselves an easy fifth drop. Oh, man. Hopefully Johnson learns quickly that that's not a great play. So they're basically, that's a sucker ball. Like what that is, okay, I'm hitting something that is going to get below the net And we want you to speed that up because we're going to be ready for it. To me, that ball looks in. Let's see. Well, Johnson may have called it out. Let's see what happens here. I'm just going to move forward. No, no, no. Yeah, they all agree that that was in. Okay, so let's back it up here. So right here, sucker ball to Johnson. He tries to do backhand once again, well below the net. Has to get the ball to come up. You can see it from his entire stance. He's leaning into it. And therefore, that ball is just not even moving that fast. That's the big thing. For a lot of people, I'm not even going to say beginners, but we're talking 3-5, 4-5 male players. And you probably don't even have the power flick that Johnson has. Speeding up with your backhand off of a dink volley, the ball is moving a lot slower than you think, and you're going straight towards somebody who's ready for it, and they can usually all that power, that ball comes back so much faster because they're getting to utilize your energy to beat you. So I think Tyson McGuffin loves to say it: if you aren't ready for the speed up, don't speed it up, or something to the effect of you can't handle the heat. And so this is a classic one of Johnson takes a bait ball, thinks he can hit it harder than he can, and the other team is completely ready for this ball that's not going as fast as he thinks it is. Okay. I spent quite a bit of time on that one because that's just a major error that I see a lot of amateurs players making, and that's a real thing of us learning from Johnson's mistake when you're just giving things too easy to your opponent. It's actually, in my opinion, it's good to be aggressive, but you want to actually be aggressive to making your opponent give you a green light ball and not being a sucker and speeding up yellow balls. I will go over here in a second exactly in case it's the first time you're hearing kind of the terminology of green, yellow, red height balls. I know it's a thing that's mentioned a lot of coaches use it, but some people aren't clear on exactly what is a green or yellow or red ball. And so once again, we've come back here to another dink that went a little too high, and Johnson's going to volley it. As you can tell, he has a game plan of we're going to be the aggressors, we're going to be attacking, I'm going to be taking balls and trying to put them away. So this was a risk. He did have to hit that ball up a little bit. You can see the arc on the ball, so he hasn't put as much power into it, but he's reaching out here. But let's just go over what is a yellow, what is... Okay, so we take the shoulder at this point, and we draw a straight line. Anything at that point to the knee is a yellow ball. Like, you can speed this up. You're just taking a risk. Some you're going to lose, some you're going to win, as we've seen when he's taking it. Below that is red. So we want to, down here, knee and below, this is all red right there. And then, unfortunately, because of our system, I have to use blue. This shoulder above, and I actually like to draw it kind of high. So if you have any overheads, you're smashing it, or if a pop-up comes that's above your shoulder, that's a green ball. Why is that a green ball? Is because from that point, let's just erase a few things here. If this ball had been above his shoulder, say the ball was here, okay, I'm going to make that a little bigger for you guys to see because I'm doing it in blue, whereas the actual ball is here, he could hit this ball directly down, right? He'd be hitting it down towards their feet. Much more likely, higher percentage of the ball going in, not going long, and then being able to either A, get another ball back that's a pop-up, or an immediate winner. And so that's the bigger reason why we want to attack green balls, now that you know the height of them, and avoid balls that look or feel like they're going to be a green ball, and we're speeding them up. So the one good thing that occurs for Johnson is he gets Tellez to go for the backhand volley because it's quick and it deflects off to the left. I'm actually kind of surprised that he didn't actually use his forehand, given he hit it to his forehand side. but I'm not even sure that those guys thought that ball was going to come, so may have caught him a little off guard. Let's take a look at the footwork. Yeah, I would say that Tellez is not quite ready. As you can see, Staksrud low down watching this ball. He's ready for it to come. And right here, Tellez is just not ready. He tries to get ready here. Now you're too late, so then you can't adjust correctly. So I would say the error on the actual side of this point is not being ready for the speed up and not being down, low, and ready for it to come. And maybe Johnson saw that, and that's why he said, oh, I can go after him right now. He's late, and try and catch him off guard. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Okay, it's Staksrud's turn to serve. Got a little graphic in our way for a second, but that'll go away. Man, now they're really hitting it low on that net. I think that's the third tip net dink. Okay, Johnson tried speeding back up that same volley. He saw how slow it was coming and felt he could really crank on it. So let's see right here. This is Frazier's dink, clearly higher than all the other dinks that have been occurring, and therefore Tellez decides to speed it up. Now let's just take a look at this ball. In my opinion, that ball most likely going to go out. From that trajectory, I'd be very shocked if that ball didn't go out because of how he had to hit it upwards. And that's one thing is sometimes it's just smarter to get out of the way. So the one mistake is I would say Johnson needs to be a little bit better in this game so far of knowing that he can just get out of the way and win points. And then he is really doing power backs on people's speed ups. And twice in a row now already, he has been late on that. He's making contact. He's just, unfortunately, because he's trying to swing at it instead of block it back with a shorter stroke, he's making not clean contact. So you can see that that's not clean contact, and therefore the ball sails long. But I think right here the mistake is Johnson not getting out of the way, and I think Tellez got lucky on that, but that's the true mistake. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Here we go. Still Frazier serving. Or sorry, still Staksrud serving. Ooh. Let's back that one up. At this level, you don't see a lot of missed drops. So it's a fifth shot kind of, I would say, drop reset as they're trying to move up. The one thing I do just want to point out, because we haven't had it very well earlier on, as you can see, they are now in their appropriate areas so that they're not banging into each other. I'm sure they had a quick conversation of like, hey, man, you can't be coming into my space. That's not how we work our way up to the net. So the positioning of how they're doing and having someone be a blocker and workhorse, much, much better in this point. That's what allows Tellez to just know that, hey, that's not my ball, even though it was my forehand. It's definitely his, and I just got to get out of the way. Okay, so let's see here. So the ball's crossing the plane of the net approximately here, and neither Tellez or Staksrud have set their feet. So they're trying to take too much ground on this ball, so they are late. Anytime that happens, you're going to see a huge percentage error on the next one because now the ball is coming back. Look at Staksrud's feet. He is having to set his feet, but the ball's already coming back. Then he has to shift, and now he has to go the other direction and try and get the ball back in. And that's when your weight's in the wrong area and you're not able to put that drop back or get the force that you want back into it. So the actual error here, which a lot of people miss, is you're trying to take too much ground and you're not stopping when the ball is crossing the plane of the net. Johnson and Frazier are already up at the net. You're not going to beat them to the net, so stop trying to beat someone to the net. It's going to take you sometimes 2-3 good shots now to get yourself to the net. And so we have, because this ball is not that hard hit, it's not that much spin, it's actually the footwork by Staksrud. And so really want to just point out, this is when he should be down and then ready to adjust. If you watch Tyson McGuffin play singles, he's actually one of the best at it, of being set so that when the ball comes and he knows, okay, is it going to forehand, backhand, whatever, he's just reacting one direction, where you can see literally the ball's coming. Staksrud literally is having to now get his feet down. He's moving left. He's got to go back right and misses it. So I thought that was actually a really good example of when a pro has incorrect footwork. And normally that occurs is when you're trying to take too much ground. You just wish you had gotten a little bit further. You're trying to be a little overly aggressive with it. Okay, let's back this next point up and get into it. Okay, third shot drop, and we're once again got a forehand dink from Tellez, and he definitely hits that wrong. Let's see here. Let's slow way down. Yeah, just a clear mishit. He keeps it in front of his body from what the look of it is. It does not look too much in. Just tries to keep it a little, probably too low, and just an unforced error there. Those sometimes happen. But as you can see, one thing I really want to point out that I think is good is Johnson is not, as you'll see with a lot of amateur players, they're always trying to put it out to the backhand of their opponents. Johnson goes, I'm putting it right down the middle, right in between your guys' two forehands, and let's go. We'll take on your forehands, and gets the benefit of it because both players, once again, have that hesitation of whose forehand is it. If you were seeing this as a mixed doubles match, it would definitely be Staksrud's ball, and I think that's one of the things that kind of throw both of them off a little bit. Okay, moving on. Johnson and Frazier obviously out to a good start. Okay, there was a lot of bad there on this one. Let's back this up. Okay, so good serve, but even better return, way deep. Obviously, Johnson didn't think it was going to be that deep. Now, the one thing you never want to do is be going backwards, hitting a third shot drop. And then here is the cardinal sin right here. So Frazier sees his teammate going backwards, but still decides to progress forwards, and he has left his dance partner. So if we can go back here, as we already know, Frazier's at the kitchen. He's at 3. 2's right in here. Baseline's 1. And therefore, Frazier is more than one zone away from his dance partner, and normally bad things happen when that occurs. We had a recent commenter on our videos ask, like, why that? And so I'm just going to do this. If the ball had come the other direction, if it had come to Tellez, there is a giant fire lane right here that he can speed that ball up and get it behind Frazier, and they can't do anything. So that's the number one reason. The other issue is if this drop had not been as good as it is, obviously Johnson hits phenomenal drops, it would just be tee-off time on Frazier. If this ball had been too high, he would just get smashed. And so that's the two primary reasons why I avoid it. So the big thing is the other thing is what it does is it forces Johnson sees, oh man, I'm late, and he sees that Frazier's all the way up the kitchen line. So he's hustling. He's now trying to overtake ground to rejoin his teammates. So instead of stopping here, where he could have, where they both would have been in a good position, he keeps running. He's in the air. Oh, now I'm trying to get down. The ball's already coming back at me. And he does this very weird hop dink kind of reset ball, which gets it way too high. And then everything falls downhill from there. Now, is that reach in really the best? No, but as you can see, Johnson hasn't really set himself at all on any of these balls. Watch this. He's late on that one. Therefore, now the ball's crossing over. What is he doing? He's standing straight up again. Then he realizes, oh, man, I'm standing straight up. I got to get down. Then he gets down late, so the ball's already coming back by the time he gets down, and therefore he's reaching for a ball that he could have let bounce or could have hit softer, and then it's just over because the ball comes back way harder than he wants it to. It appears he's actually trying to take pace off that ball, but everything just went bad. So, but the big thing that I want you to notice is where this all started going bad was Frazier leaving his dance partner. Johnson feels like he has to rush up, and he's still trying to join him, and unfortunately, too many errors right there to get that corrected. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Okay, let's back that one up. So it's a decent deep serve, a very short ball, as you can see here. And so Johnson sees short, high ball, green light, right? And he just goes for the speed up. One of the issues that he's facing is because he sped up a ball here and he really didn't hit it that hard. It's going to his opponent's forehand and they're stacking down the middle. And so the actual issue is watch this. So the ball is crossing the plane of the net here. And because he sped up the ball, he's not ready for it to come back. He's essentially at this point hoping it comes back soft, and it doesn't, and therefore his feet aren't set and he completely misses. And so, in my opinion, the cascading issue was speeding up this ball, but you're going to see if you get a high ball that hangs like that, he's a little below the apex of the ball, but a high short ball for the pros with their power, they're coming. Like that's a green light ball, and they're going to be speeding that up. The number one thing that you have to do when you do that, the ball is going to be coming back, so hit it and get down and get set, which Johnson just never does. And so that's just the important thing. So this is really a mistake, once again, of footwork. In this series, you're going to hear us talk about that a lot, is talking about their footwork. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Very good return by Johnson, keeping them back. Okay. Two major things on this point, so let's start looking at them. Okay, great deep return to your opponent's backhand. Make them hit a drop, and they hit a pretty good drop. Once again, he doesn't hit this with much pace back. He's just getting it back deep. And because Tellez is ready, he hits another nice drop, is obviously hanging high, so it's going to come back a little bit harder. But he's basically holding their ground, and you can even see they're still stacking. I'm going to just point this out for the beginners. Because Staksrud sees his teammate is there, he's even going to be off the court so that they're not in the same space at the same time. And that's one thing. This was a couple years back, but there was really a lot of message saying go up together at the same time, the same line horizontally, and that concept hopefully is now died, and you guys aren't hearing that online anymore, because it was very, very poor advice given from some coaches out there that weren't as highly rated as they may have put themselves out to be. But the thing that I would say, this is actually impressive to do the kind of the Ernie jump backhand by Johnson, showing his athleticism there to take that ball. I will say, I'm just going to back this up. The one thing that I'm noticing about Tellez, and I know I keep saying his name wrong and I do apologize, but Tellez is he's really standing up high. He's back here. When you're back, your feet are more vulnerable. Where does this ball go? His feet. Where the ball before that go? It went at his feet. So this ball is coming at, this next one's going to come at your feet again, and he's just a little too high. And I would like to see him lower at this point because you can see it's coming. Everyone knows it's coming, and he just is standing up too high, and then he doesn't get down. And so when the actual error that occurs when you are standing up too high is for your movement down, you let the ball get into your body. See how he let the ball literally get behind him? And if he'd caught this ball out in front of his body because he didn't have to waste all his time getting down, he probably could have gotten that ball back. So that's really the issues there, and a very good hit by Johnson. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Oh, third shot drive into... So as you guys can see, because of the way that Johnson and Frazier are doing their switch, that makes them vulnerable, and Frazier really has to work hard to get up to the net in time. He doesn't quite get up into the net in time, and that's the number one reason why Tellez decided to speed this ball up and he's going after Frazier, is because when you're having to do the stack switch, there is that vulnerability, and Frazier's just a little bit late, feet not set, and then tries to make it. It doesn't get a clean volley return. So good strategy on Tellez's part, and just takes advantage of Frazier not getting there early enough and getting set. It's something that, let's back this up a little bit and watch when he's impacting this ball. He's coming. He is coming. He realizes, oh man, I got to run hard. If he'd hit the ball a little bit deeper, it may have helped. But the other thing is, or if he'd hit it a little bit softer, have it go slower and given himself more time, it would help. Either one of those would have kind of helped him just get more time by getting up there. I have no problem. I think Johnson held the line well and still had to protect on his backhand. So, okay, good point there. Let's move on to the next one. So far, there have been a lot of good points in this gold medal championship match for men's doubles that people can learn from. Ooh, got lucky there. I think Staksrud knows he got away with one there. Okay, let's back this up. I just want to see this again because I think everyone can see. You're running in unencumbered and the ball is past crossing the plane of the net. You are in danger, and Johnson's going to take advantage of this. Complete slide. Got lucky to get his ball on and barely got it back. So complete luck there. And once again, these guys hit thousands of balls every day. Sometimes they're going to get lucky, but Johnson's definitely going to test you on that. Okay, so far out wide dink. It does catch to the line. Yep, just a missed ATP. But in my opinion, that is the correct time to go for it. That ball is really wide. Johnson sees that it definitely hit the line. There's no argument there. Just missed the forehand. So, good point. Let's keep moving on. Tight match here at 3-3. Okay, let's back this up. I'm actually surprised that some of these points aren't lasting longer, and it definitely seems that it's a footwork issue of both teams really trying to get aggressively to the net, and therefore it's giving their opponents a little bit more ability to just keep speeding it up because they're late. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to point out problems occur when we have a teammate. This is at the kitchen line, and they have not made it to zone 2. Okay, so I know that's not a straight line, but here's 2, and this is the actual distance on this. So, and once again, Tellez is standing up rather tall for being that far back. That is an issue. So when he gets this, once again, that ball does go too high. It is moving soft, but obviously he's impacting that ball just below the net, below the shoulders. So it is a yellow ball, but he's able to get downward momentum on it, but it's definitely not coming straight down, so it's not a power shot. But once again, where you sit here and go, oh, well, Tellez is low. Look, he's low there. That's when the ball's already coming. He needs to be low here. And see, he's choosing to continue to move forward when he should already be down because the ball's going to be coming back. And so once again, he's late, lets the ball get into his body and misses it. So that's literally 2 times in a row, same error in a very short period of time. Staksrud, very frustrated of, dude, how are we missing that ball? That's not that hard of a shot. You got to be able to get that back if we're going to win this, especially when he's really working hard on getting balls back and those kind of things. But one of the things is he's aggressively getting to the net, moving forward, and he's like, why is my teammate not also coming up here and being a little bit closer if I'm taking time to advance forward? So let's look at this. So he hits this ball, he hits that, and he's been taking ground, but his teammate hit and just watched his shot. Look how long he hits this and just watches. Watch. He literally takes no ground after hitting this shot. He just stands and watches the whole time. Well, then what was the point of the drive, right? Not that big of a benefit. I understand the strategy as they were trying to once again catch Frazier coming around, but you still got to play the rest of the point out. Okay, I know we spent a little bit of extra time on that point, but let's move on to the next one. Here's Johnson serving. Oh, the number one dreaded unforced error mistake, trying to speed up a bounce ball. Now, Tellez hits it at the apex of the ball. So he has done the absolute best he can do on this. And this is what I try and point out to so many people. This is a pro-level player playing in a championship and gets a high bounce ball, and not even he is able to hit that with any pace and get the ball to come back into the court. So when you're playing somebody and they're not a pro, and you see them wind up to hit a ball that has bounced, get out of the way. If they're going to hit it hard, they're not going to hit it in. It's time to get out of the way, make them prove it. And guess what? If they prove it once, even better. They're not most likely going to hit it the next 10 times. So now you got in your favor that they think they can hit it, and they're going to keep hitting it out. So this is the number one mental mistake we see at the amateur level. And as you guys can see, even the pros make this error, and we've shown this several times in other videos. But that one, in my opinion, at the pro level is kind of unforgivable. This ball has come up. Your opponent has gained ground. If you hit it soft enough that they are just going to whack it back at you, you're impacting a yellow ball and you're giving them a green ball. Like, if Frazier had chosen to hit that with a backhand, dude, that's a high ball that he can just backhand smash on you. He's getting a green ball. You're hitting a yellow ball. That is not what you want to do. So there's no good coming from that at any point. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay. Johnson still serving. Okay, let's just back this up. I just want to show you this right here. Johnson sees his teammate get pushed back, and he moves back to be with him. They're still staying one zone apart, but he's not going to leave his dance partner. Okay, let's keep watching through. Just was pausing that real quick there. Frazier fighting to try and get a drop in there where they can make up some distance. Okay. So as you can see, Frazier's doing everything he can to come back. My opinion, the big mistake here is this. I'm going to draw it out for you guys. Look where Johnson is. Look where his teammate is over here. Just doing lines for kind of the core of their body. And now we're going to move this forward a little bit. He even had to go further over. Let me fix this line. So this is actually where his feet are. There's a huge gap here. Okay. And so I'm going to draw this. Johnson needs to move this way. Why? Because the ball, and I'll erase all these and we're going to do the ball in blue. The ball is most likely going to come back into this area. Coming from this line, it's most likely going to come here. So where is the actual angle that it can come on the next shot? Very low probability that it's going to make it anywhere over into this part of the court. Very difficult shot and a low percentage shot, so why would Staksrud take that? So the ball coming from Staksrud, this is his window. That's the best. Johnson's not in that window, so he's making Frazier do all the work, and he's going to make him be late on his feet. So where I would like to see Johnson be is here. I'm going to draw the world's most beautiful stick figure. This is where he should be. That's where he is. That's where the problem is. He's not helping out his teammate the way he should. So I don't know why he chose not to do that. But as you can see, I didn't even remember that's exactly where Staksrud hits the ball. Basically exactly where I drew my stick figure. Johnson could have easily hit that ball back, then shifted right, given his team more time. And because Frazier's feet are never set and he's doing anything he can possibly do, he misses that drop after he'd already hit like 3 or 4 in a row. That is definitely an error on Johnson's part for not helping out his teammate. I don't see any major error that you could attribute to Frazier on this because he never had the time to get his feet set. He had to get all the way back. And the reason he had to get all the way back is because Johnson wasn't helping him out like he should. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Now we finally get into a dink battle. Oh, just went a little too low on it. This is baseball. We normally call that an unforced error. Nothing really on that ball. And I'm not going to be too upset on the, because he moved over for his forehand. Very common. So a lot of people would actually say that that is Johnson's ball. And I think Johnson was actually thinking that that was his ball. And so the one thing you could say is probably a higher probability would have been for have Johnson dink that ball. Frazier's covering a lot of the court for Johnson right now. Here's the one thing. This is a hotly debated topic still in pickleball between different coaches, but this is the angle of the ball. Now, I know I overdrew the angle of the ball a little bit, but let's just move forward in time so you can kind of see that. So as you can see, it's going towards Johnson, and so everything about that is now, so Johnson could easily get that in directional. And so a lot of people are now saying, as I said, it's still debated, is that you should let the person get the ball on the angle path that it is traveling. And so by that ball changing its trajectory angle, I'm trying to describe something very visual into words, is that that is Johnson's ball instead of Frazier's ball. It was also going to Johnson's forehand. And so I think that they would have had a higher probability if Johnson had taken that, not because Johnson's a better player in anything, shape, or form, or because Johnson's on the left. It is truly the angle direction of how the ball was traveling, and that it was technically coming to Johnson's body, not away from Frazier's body. So something that you guys should take into consideration when you're playing. Obviously, you want to have conversations with you and your double partner about that. And as pickleball continues to grow as a sport and age and strategy, probably something that is going to become more defined in the near future. Okay, as we continue on, let's move on to the next point. Oh, nice put away by Johnson. Okay, let's back this up and analyze this point. Let's see, where did things go wrong? Man, Staksrud basically overruns everything and then jumps back every time. So because he's doing that, watch this. He overruns, jumps back. Now him and his teammate are in the same plane. Again, not a great position. So once again, they both are going for balls that are forehand because they assume that it's their ball. Therefore, that gets Tatis be a little late. Once again, Tatis stands up. Therefore, does the next pop-up and can't control the next one. I also don't really like this jump back. I know sometimes your body just instinctively is like, oh, man, I'm about to get slammed and wants to go back. But if he had actually gotten low and stayed still, he probably could have gotten that ball. The fact that you jump back is what really does it to you. And we've analyzed that in other points. There's other points that are even better than this one to show somebody get one by getting low, and then because they jump back on the next ball, they don't get it. As you can see, by jumping back, your feet become more exposed. The ball gets lower into your body. And so if he had just bent his knees further, get more into that squatted sitting position, paddle up, ready to take the impact, he actually probably could have even volleyed this ball and then moved on and fought for another couple exchanges. But in my opinion, the issue that's coming in is Tellez, if I'm saying it wrong, I do apologize, obviously struggling with his name today, getting high here, really standing up, and then after that, everything is downhill. So when you impact, you still got to stay low. This is just too slow of then getting back down and being ready. Okay. Also, Johnson did hit some good shots there, but obviously that's expected here at a championship pro level. Okay. Got a little lucky there, catching that and having it go over. Johnson's going to be firing. He's trying to catch them off guard. Nice aggressive lob, pushes them back. That was beautiful by Staksrud, really showing his athleticism there. So here's the one thing that I completely disagree with. Staksrud is great, but as you can see, he's so late on getting back there. This is the positioning that is a big error, and I've seen it throughout this match. This is the time I can point it out. Staksrud and Tellez decided to hit the ball over here. What does that do? That makes, I'm just drawing this out. This is the window. So right now, Staksrud is the blocker. That's how we identify him. He's right here. This is the zone that he is supposed to cover. I'm going to draw it again just to make it a little bit clearer for everybody. But this is really all he's supposed to guard. Okay? His teammate should be a little bit more off the kitchen line, allowing, if Staksrud needs to move to his right, he can take his forehand, be aggressive, start speeding stuff up. I feel that because they are left-hand, right-hand combo, that's one of the reasons why you see Tellez up further. But the problem with this is Tellez needs to guard all this and everything back behind him. So in case the lob, it is at this point because where the ball is at, not because of where they're positioned, not because of who they're playing. It is solely because of, as I just did in red, I'm going to redo it, because they hit the ball here. That is what determines who is a blocker, who is a workhorse right at that point. If the ball had gone to the other side, if it had gone to Johnson, well then Tellez is the blocker and Staksrud is the workhorse. But to have Staksrud go for this lob is not great from a strategy and statistics percentage. So they both come back, which is fine. He stays with his dance partner. And then Staksrud really shows his athleticism, really overruns this ball, and just catches the speed up perfectly. And Johnson was not expecting that ball to come back that hard, that cleanly, and catches it low. That's about the third one this match where Johnson is trying to overpower a speed up and has made missed contact with the ball. I mean, he really hits that almost on the frame of the paddle. It's hard to see because of that hat, but it's really, really rough there. So, obviously, in my opinion, Staksrud and Tellez made some mistakes and through pure athleticism of Staksrud, got away with one there. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Here's actually a nice little play of how deep that ball was and how good a job Staksrud had to do to get it and come back. They've got it back to 4-4 and got to be feeling pretty good here. Once again, having a problem knowing whose ball is who. And once you do it once, you're going to do it twice, and the third time, it's not going to work out. So right now, once again, don't know who the ball is, don't know whose ball it is, and they miss it because you are distracting your teammate by not knowing it. I would like to once again point out, and that's the reason, the stats don't lie. Johnson's ball is coming across court. It's coming to Staksrud, okay? I know it's both of their forehands, so you can't say, well, it goes to the person who's the forehand. So now we have to go with the physics of who should get this ball. So I'm still a big believer, just based off of the physics, this ball is going to be an easier shot. Look how far behind it is on Tellez. And that's where I see coaches that don't advocate for this, and I just don't think they understand or haven't watched enough film, is, to me, this is clear cut as day. Tellez has to let the ball get behind him, and he's missing it. Staksrud would not have to do that, and Tellez should have let that ball go to Staksrud. So I think that's a very clear mistake on that one. It's an unforced error, in my opinion, at this level. Moving on to the next point. Oh, good put away there. Let's take a look at this again. Well, that camera angle changed. Yeah, he just catches it. So this is the one thing I always like to point out. He needs to stop there. Because he was on push back and on his back foot hitting the drop shot, he tries to fix that and be like, no, I wasn't in the wrong position. I'm going to take too much ground. So now he takes too much ground. His body weight is he's literally split stepping and the ball's already coming back. You do not want to be split stepping in pickleball when the ball's already coming back. So his body weight is in flux. Therefore, he can't be a human sponge on this ball and have it go softly back. And then it's an easy put away for Tellez. Okay. So I just really want to point that out. He should have stopped. Let's slow this down a little bit. He should have stopped there at basically the baseline, gotten low. If he'd done that, he would have been able to easily get that next ball and then progressed up. It's his mistake. It's Frazier's mistake in footwork, 100% of overrunning, and therefore everything falls apart there because he can't control his body and be soft enough on that ball. Okay, moving on to the next one. Here we go. They have the camera on the wrong person, but it was actually Johnson's serve. So sorry about the delay there. If I was Johnson and Frazier, I would dink in between the two of them all day because of what Tellez is doing. Let's take a look at this. Okay. I think right there is where I want to stop it. Okay, impact the ball. Now, do I wish I had the other camera angle? Absolutely. But we're going to deal with what we got. Once again, right here, Johnson is off the court, and his teammate stays on this side of the line. Okay? Johnson, in all probability, is not going to, I'm going to do the ball in blue. From here, the thought that he is going to hit the ball to here, extremely low percentage chance. You basically have to go through his body to do that. And it doesn't even look like he's going to attempt to do that. So where the ball is most likely going to go is somewhere in this part of the court. And knowing that, which once again, Frazier's played hundreds, if not thousands of hours with him, the most likely coming back area of the ball is here. And therefore, what Frazier needs to do is he needs to shift this way and get more in the middle of that area to help defend that. Because if we had the other camera angle, you guys would see this massive, ginormous window that they can easily hit the ball in. And that's all he does. He doesn't even hit it that hard. It's barely even a speed. He just goes, oh, I'm going to put it in between you two guys because your teammate didn't help cover. And Johnson's clearly way late of being able to get back and get set. And so he just never had a chance having to go that low, that off foot. Your teammate has to help you out. So we've had two errors really on Johnson and Frazier for not shifting and staying with their dance partner when they move left and right. Okay, here we go. Nice reset by Staksrud. Looks like they have figured out that they want to primarily attack Tellez. Let's back that one up. Nothing too aggressive, keeping it low. Yeah, it all starts from this dink that's too high. Let's slow down here. And he makes impact with that ball just high enough that it's going pretty straight. I would say that ball would go in. He doesn't even get it that hard. The best benefit that he actually gets is getting it onto the backhand side of Staksrud. And then Staksrud needing to once again pick that ball up. You are now, I think the best analogy I've ever heard is the teeter-totter. The ball is high for Johnson, low for Staksrud. And anytime that's the situation, obviously the benefit is on the Johnson-Frazier team. And that's what very shortly has this ball get put away. And so as you can see, it's just them just hitting down on him very quickly after it. But this is what basically started the issue on this dink. Just too high, barely too high. But really, if Frazier hadn't gone to his backhand side and kept it low, the point would have turned out the other way. So one thing I will say here is, just so that everyone knows, because I like to point these out, that's a yellow ball. The ball's right here. I know it's blurry, but the ball's right there. That is a yellow ball, and Frazier took the risk of speeding that up. He hit a great shot. That's why they're the pros. But he definitely took that risk, and it paid off. Okay, but it was not without risk. Okay, next, Staksrud is now serving. This has been a great first game. A lot of points to be able to learn. Johnson just embarrasses Tellez here. Okay, ball is crossing the plane of the net. I don't think I can find a better point in recent memory that shows when should you stop and get low and be in position. Here's where you have to stop and get low. Why? That's why. One, Tatis steps around for his forehand, which I'm never that big of a fan of to begin with. Like, he easily could have hit a backhand and kept better court position. Doesn't shift back and get low when the ball does. Leaves this giant gap and just hits it down. And I think even Staksrud is surprised of, like, bro, where were you? Like, that's just too easy. And so really, really bad footwork there on his part. Obviously, he probably learns from this and changes it. But this is the best example, once again, as I can say. This is the whole reason why this broke down, is he didn't get to where he needs to be here, and he just keeps coming. Look at, he's going to take a whole nother step, now he's in the air. Can't even react because he's in the air. His feet are literally off the ground right here. He can't react at all. Way too late. Way, way, way too late. Okay, moving on. I know the score is tied, but it sure seems like Johnson and Frazier are kind of in the control seat at this point, watching these errors that Tellez and Staksrud are making. Okay, let's back that point up and take another look at it. Okay, third shot drop right here by Frazier. Yeah. He just lifts that. That's going to give, knowing Johnson, he's going to test you. And so what he's doing on this is he's not actually hitting that ball that hard. That ball is going to drop in. That ball is really, as you can just see, it's not even that blurry. That ball is not moving that fast, and he's just going to that backside shoulder to go after, to attack the backhand so that he can get a pop-up. That's all he's looking for on that, and he's willing to take that risk. So, yes, he is impacting the ball low. The ball is definitely a yellow ball. Almost, I mean, it's definitely in the yellow zone, but it's definitely going towards the red. So the ball has to go back up over the net. And all he's doing is he's taking that to try and chicken wing, as we like to call it. But the chicken wing is technically on the forehand side, but he just attacks the same point on Tellez. My opinion is this is the dinks. I think that Staksrud has had such a tough time with letting the ball bounce in the last several points that he's taking it out of the air and trying to be softer with it. But if he'd let that ball bounce, the problem is his teammate is in the wrong position. So if he lets this ball bounce, as you can see, this is not where your teammate should be. Now we're going to back it up. Why? Why should your teammate not be there? We're going to back this ball up because where's the ball? The ball is here. So Tellez, and I know I'm botching his name half the time, he needs to be back at that red line. Let me make this clear. He needs to be approximately 2 to 3 feet off the kitchen line to give his, I know they both have forehands, he needs to give his teammates space because as this ball moves forward, look, he's choosing to do this because if he let that ball bounce, it would go right in to Tellez's leg. Now, you could say, well, then Tellez should take the ball. I would be in agreement with you if you said that. But I'm just leaving that up, that if he was at that yellow line, he wouldn't be in the way, and then Staksrud would have more of the green light to not have to try and take this ball too early and then, unfortunately, hit it just a little bit too high. Okay. I hope you guys really understand that point from that because that is clearly becoming a common error for having this forehand, left-hand team, kind of standard southpaw. And Johnson showing once again, I'm going to go chicken arm backhand side on Tellez. He already just missed one. And I'm going to put the ball right there and in again as he tries to go out with it. Didn't even hit it that hard. Nice little flippy shot. Hopefully Tellez, that's not Tellez. Tellez learned something there. You could create a meme based off of how many times I've said his name wrong today. I do apologize, guys. Mean nothing by it. Yep. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Oh, we got the other camera angle on this, so you can see how low that ball was. Risky shot, real low. Shows Johnson's true athleticism right there. Most people would miss that shot, and he just goes real soft with those hands. That's one of the reasons why everyone thought it was a speed up. Yeah, I think Johnson, even he knows he probably got away with one on that point. Moving on to the next one. Third shot drive, fifth shot drop. One thing to take away there is Johnson and Frazier are very comfortable taking 2, if not 3 shots to get to the kitchen line, where if I notice about Staksrud, he's really trying to do it in one way too often. Okay. Risky shot here. Most people will miss this shot. So here we go. Dink. Dink again. Oh, it hit the net. That's why. Okay. So Johnson almost would have hit the ball most likely out given that angle and that power, and just gets away with getting a net ball. So in my opinion, Johnson actually makes the error here, and sometimes you just get lucky and got saved by it hitting the tape and changing the directory on that. Either that ball was going to go out or they were easily going to hit it with their forehands. But once again, in my opinion, when I see this on both players and being that close with their forehands, it's really, really tough. Some people believe that, you know, having forehands stacked down the middle is the future of the sport. When I analyze film, I see, you know, there's pros and cons to everything. In this match, Frazier and Tellez are struggling because of it. Okay, let's back that up. That ended rather quickly. Oh, looks like oh, it was a kitchen fault. Yep, his foot's right there on the kitchen line. Okay, moving on. I think it was pretty clear from the first watching on that, but we'll back it up and slow it up so everybody sees it. Okay, Johnson's serve, good return, and just bad footwork the whole way. So let's do this. First one, kind of set, lets the ball get into his body for no reason, and then hits it too high because he let it get in his body. He's then therefore late because he watched this. He's sitting watching, slowly moves forward. Should have stopped here and gotten ready as he knows it's too high. He knows it's coming back. Then he tries to jump, goes right at his feet, but he was late on his footwork, so then that one's a pop-up, and then it's off to the races. He does the jump back, as we talked about earlier. When you, instead of just going, okay, I popped it up, get low and return this ball, jump back, you let your feet get more exposed, and you're also late on your footwork of being ready for it, and you miss the ball. Okay, moving on. Okay, let's take a look here. Actually, I like this play by Johnson. Okay, so coming up here, it's a third. Well, let's take a look. Get all the way back. Sorry for the delay here, guys. The camera's on the wrong person. That's where it throws me off sometimes. Okay, so Tellez is serving it. There's the return of serve. It's a third shot drive. They go down the middle. Johnson gets it back. Doesn't even get it back that hard. And they go for a fifth shot drop. Okay, so here's Tellez not being set and being high again. So he needs to be down here. But he then gets down here. So his paddle's low. So obviously Johnson is seeing that he's late. Like that, like why is Johnson speeding the ball up at him? He's making a kind of, he could hit it back to Staksrud, who's deeper, but he goes, no man, your feet aren't set. You're not ready for this ball. Therefore, I'm going to test to see what you can do. And he just gets this wild arm swing that pops the ball back up where they can easily now smash down on it. The other point that really puts this away is Staksrud is set. He's ready for this ball, but he swings at it instead of being a human sponge and trying to reset this ball. He actually tries speeding it up for no good reason, and he should have tried to reset this ball to try and get himself to the kitchen line. So literally, I think two main errors to learn from, but this whole point breaks down not because this drop is a bad drop. That ball is below the net at impact. It is a good drop. It is completely on Tellez not having his feet correctly set and once again overrunning it so that Johnson can exploit and attack him. And I guarantee with Johnson's skill, he's going to keep doing that all day if he keeps seeing that. Okay, we're on to the next point. From this camera angle, That ball looks like it was going out, and Johnson mishit it. So sometimes you get lucky on a mishit, but speeding that up, obviously they were shifting back over to the other side from this dink, and we're probably a little slow on that shift because they need to have the shift done at this point. So if Johnson had been able to hit it a little bit softer on this dink, giving him a little bit more time, probably came a little too quick off his paddle and a little too high. As you can see, he's able to take that ball easily out of the air. So looks like a bad dink for what the game plan was for Johnson and Frazier, and also he gets, I would say, in my opinion, that at least gets away with one there of their impact. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, Staksrud is serving. Nice deep return. It's probably the best that I've seen them, Staksrud and his partner, work their way up to the kitchen line. Okay, let's back that point up. Dink over to Frazier, then Frazier goes to Staksrud. Johnson is clearly going to keep putting it in between them on their forehands. Gets the ball just up enough that he's going to speed it up. And in my opinion, what he did is he froze him as both players, is that your ball or my ball? He's not actually hitting that hard of a shot. He's not even hitting that aggressive of a shot. He's literally just saying he's going to keep putting it, whose ball is it? Both of those guys are talented enough that they should be understanding and getting that ball, but it's because of forehands are down the middle. It's both of their forehands. Whose ball is it? And it's kind of I thought it was yours. Yeah. In other matches, that ball would come back so hard if he sped that up, but I can guarantee you that Johnson wouldn't put that ball soft there if he didn't know that he was literally just trying to hit a ball that we like to call, filing for divorce papers. He's trying to break up a relationship over there by putting it right between the two of them. He did it again. Oh, he missed it. It went just long. But as you can see, both of those guys, once again, were late. Should I have gone? Should I have not gone? Let's back this up. We'll see if there's anything else. But no, that's, once again, Johnson going for a winner. Same exact ball, just with the backhand. Didn't get enough spin on it. I truly believe from that reaction of his, he's like, man, I should have easily gotten that ball in. Why'd I hit it so hard? Yeah. He's putting a lot of them kind of at that shoulder height on Tellez, and Tellez is having a very tough time of knowing if, is that ball going in or going out and what he should do. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Okay, let's back this up. Obviously, I'm not listening to the ref audio. Let's see if we can see what occurred here. I'm assuming, yeah, his toes are completely in the kitchen. Gets called for a kitchen fault. Points over. And Staksrud is very frustrated with his teammate for making that kind of a mistake. Here we go. Johnson attacking down the middle again. This is, oh, there was a mishit. Let's just see if there's anything that we can really see on this, or if Johnson just mishit the ball. Yeah, I just would say that he was swinging, doing too much with the arm there instead of pushing off using his legs, and therefore the spin probably coming from Staksrud affected it just a little too much, and it slid off the paddle face. I would have liked to have seen a little more leg power on that, but yeah, just a little technique breakdown. He doesn't let the ball get too far behind him, doesn't let the ball get into his body. 9 times out of 10, Johnson's going to hit that shot. And there wasn't anything that Staksrud really did to force that error, in my opinion. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We got a little lucky off the net there. Wow, caught J.W. Johnson by surprise on that one. Right into his body. Body bagged him right there. That is a good, risky shot. Ball's probably going to go out from Tellez, in my opinion, if he doesn't hit Johnson. But good aggressive shot, taking that advantage on that ball. Okay, let's back this up. I just want to see this one more time, just looking for anything else. No, yeah, it's just not ready. Johnson's late. His paddle's low. And so Tellez takes advantage of it. Goes up into his body. Okay, on to the next point. Johnson is known for playing at the kitchen and keeping his paddle low. He does it. It's always been his technique. As you can see right here, his paddle's down. His ready position, his paddle's down. Very unorthodox compared to other players. Not something that's normally taught. It obviously works for him, but sometimes it's not going to work out. And the last point really kind of shows that. Okay, this one's a great example. So we're going to dink wide. Coming back in, and Staksrud goes for a ball, tries to speed it up, and unfortunately, because he's hitting it below the net, that ball is having to come up over the net. He can't get as much power on it. He's not hitting it that hard, and he's also off balance. So there's very little force going into that ball. You can see from his legs, where is his body going? Backwards. His body is going backwards. That means he has no leg power into this ball. It means it's going very slow. And Frazier doesn't even have to try hard. He's just like, oh, slow moving ball. I'm going to smash this backhand with spin and put this away. So this is the ball that you shouldn't, in my opinion, speed up. I know he's trying to attack the body, but it's because he can't get enough force into that ball. And that is the difference between this and tennis, is you have to be more patient in these scenarios. This is the best example, in my opinion. Frazier hits a dink. It's not the world's greatest dink. It's kind of a sucker ball. But what is your goal when you're dinking? Your goal is to force your opponent, for you to hit a shot to force your opponent to give you a green ball, a green height ball. And you haven't done that yet. So why are you choosing to speed this up? Because when you sped this up, like, you just gave your opponent essentially a green ball. Yeah, it's coming a little bit faster, but Frazier is almost able to hit directly down on that ball with spin, obviously. His paddle's going straight up to generate that spin, but he even jumps up into it because that ball is so high to force it down. And so my opinion is Staksrud should have been more patient here, waited for an actual green ball, and then attack. Trust me, I know you've been having to deal with Johnson attacking you the whole time on what are not green balls, and so I know the frustration can build, but you'll win more points if you can have more patience on that. Okay, we're on to the next point. This one goes pretty quick. It's a third shot drive, and this is the number one issue when you're hitting a drive. And once again, Staksrud is on his back foot, lets the ball get into him, generates very little power. And so it's not just a volley, it's a smash, saying thank you very much. I'll take that all day. And that is truly because when you are not able to be penetrating towards utilizing your body weight into the ball and to drive it, you're getting very little force into it. And you're almost hitting like a drip. And so that's the thing. The ball is coming so much slower than you believe it is. and therefore J.W. Johnson can just take advantage of it. So if you are on, the one thing I want you to take away from this, here is where he sets his feet to hit this. That's fine. And then the ball carries and bounces further back, and he's impacting the ball here. And he's like, well, I've already decided to drive it, so I just got to go with it. But if you're not able to fire off this, his right leg, we're going to show this right here. If you're not able to fire off this leg, then you can't generate the power you need into the ball to give yourself a chance to get that shorter return ball. And the ball also is going to sail high, as you can see it did. So anyways, quick point, quick over, but hopefully something we can learn there from even something that quick. JW didn't have his feet set on this one. Overrun, so he should have stopped here. They're trying to overrun it. So all Tellez needs to do is make him make a decision. Johnson makes the decision to try and volley it instead of let it bounce because his feet weren't set. If he had set his feet, let me back this up. If he'd set his feet here, that ball would come back. It'd be one decision would be moving forward and taking that off the bounce. The more times you can make your opponent have to make a decision, the more times they will make the wrong decision, and you will win more points. It's all about making your opponent have to continuously make decisions. And that was just the wrong one. Okay. Moving on to the next point. Looking good there. As you can see, things start to tighten up as they get closer to 11. JW has amazing hands. I'd say if you're in a firefight with somebody, unfortunately, if you're in a firefight with JW Johnson, you probably have less than a 50-50 shot. But right here, here's the issue. So we attack on a low ball. Right there, it's coming off. Let's draw this out. As we can clearly see, this is a yellow ball. Okay, it's even actually a low yellow ball from those lines. And so as we're going to now move forward, I'm going to move real frame by frame. The ball's going quick, so as you can see, frame by frame there, it's having to go up. That's why I'm leaving the lines on there. It's because it is forced to go up. What that does is it means you are naturally not going to hit the ball as hard because you still got to get the ball to come down and come in. And so that shot is not hard enough or fast enough going at JW. I agree with attacking straight on. You're going to his backhand, so you're doing everything you can. But the problem lies in choosing to hit this ball instead of get a higher ball that you can attack harder. And now, as we can see, first ball, you're hitting low, JW's hitting high. Second ball, you're hitting kind of mid, JW's hitting high and down, and then it's over. Once JW's getting to come straight down on it, you getting it back in, very low percentage chance. And so everything breaks down. That's what I always am looking for in a point is when does everything break down? And it breaks down right here on that decision. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Tellez is just not going to not go after that. Okay, so he slides over to his forehand and once again attacks J.W. Johnson's backhand. I was trying to see. To me, it looks like it hit the net, but I could be wrong. The camera angle's almost impossible to tell, but no, probably doesn't hit it. But just catches J.W. Johnson a little late. I think he was actually surprised that he chose to sped that ball up. He definitely cocks back on it. I would have liked to see JW a little bit more prepared. I think he prepared a little late on this. Yeah, let's back this up. I just want to see. So they hit this drop. JW should be set here. And he basically does his classic JW kind of like extra two-step walk-in. and is late. And so it's really a footwork issue on why JW had his paddle in the wrong place when that ball came. He's moving his body instead of being ready for it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Tatis takes advantage of it and got lucky. Sorry about the exposure there. Let's back this one up. Here's the serve. Good deep ball. Gets JW in, and he just misses the volley. Nothing more there than just 3 inches too long. He's keeping it back, trying to keep them back. That's the right play. Sometimes you're going to miss a shot, and he just missed a shot there. Okay, here we go. Beautiful shot by Frazier. In my opinion, once again, I think they both thought that ball was out, but they're doing those soft kind of high loops on them. And they're definitely, every time they're winning on those, they're just putting them between them. Like, whose ball is it? And then they're just half a second late. Also, if they had been stopped here and ready, they would have known if that ball was in or out, and they would have even had a better chance of hitting it, and of how high you hit it, they would have crushed it right back at them. And so the breakdown occurs, once again, is because you are in the air when the ball is being hit. That's for tennis. That's not for pickleball. You are late if that's how you're going to play the game, and therefore they are late on that ball. Okay, moving on. Obviously, Frazier saw that one. Once again, looks like Staksrud has really changed up his game plan, is that they're going to be driving the third shot. It's not working out well for him. I think it's a bad strategy change. It hasn't worked out in the last couple. We'll see if they adjust here as this game is getting closer to a conclusion. J.W. Johnson definitely making the decision that he is going to go towards the middle forehands. Never really taking it very wide. Yep, right back to him on that. This is the great points that I was expecting to see in this match. I think in games 2 or 3, obviously they're going to best of 5. I think we're going to see a lot more of these longer dink battles and not so much of this low ball early speed up. I think everybody's, for a gold medal match, I think everyone's just a little extra aggressive in this game. This is a championship point. When we analyze this, I will obviously not back all the way up. We'll just be backing up to see where and how things fell apart. Both teams are keeping this ball very close to that net. Ooh, and that's where it broke apart. Let's scoot this back. And so this is the one thing that, in my opinion, JW does a great job of, is he's not going towards that back corner line a lot. As you can see, this is a great dink. It hits the line, it's in, it's aggressive to push your opponent off, but what does it do? It allows them to now just swing away at an ATP almost as a speed up. So that is an aggressive dink. Let's be clear. And if you're playing with high-end players, they have practiced and have the skill set to be able to hit ATPs. And so that's one of the reasons why you'll see JW keeping his dinks. I'm going to back up some of these dinks. Watch when they get over to JW. Give me a second. Here's his. Right there. There's no chance of an ATP on that ball. If you guys can see that, he's hit it to the backhand right there. And so that's the one thing. So obviously it took Tellez a great ATP shot to win it. Johnson tries to cover, but it's right into his feet, and he isn't able to get it because he was also on the move, realizing, oh boy, here we go. Trying to at least block and not just give the point away. But yeah, that is the issue with this, is the belief that by dinking out wide that it is a good strategy. What you actually want to be doing is going more at the body and the feet of your opponent to try and get a pop-up. But sometimes your opponent's just going to hit a great shot. That was a great long point. Everyone's getting really tight here now at 9-7. Johnson and Frazier obviously trying to put this game away, and so they're kind of slowing it down and going to get into these dink battles and have no problem doing that. And here we go again. As you can see, Johnson's not going to go out there with this ball. He's going to say, okay, I can dink over and over and over and over again. Nice little aggressive lob. Now we got him back, and Johnson and Frazier are trying to keep him back. You can see the footwork by Staksrud and Tellez has gotten much better here as this game has progressed. I feel like Staksrud has also gotten a little bit more aggressive with taking the middle when the ball's coming across. The point basically just reset there. Oh, old reach in. So one thing that I always like to talk about is these types of shots. There's almost no good that comes off of taking that ball and not letting it bounce. But here's actually why this occurs for 99% of players, pro or amateur. Once your back is leaning forward, I'm going to leave that line there so we can see it as we progress. Once you're leaning forward, your brain goes, I would have to straighten up and take a step back. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to do that. So now you have to reach in, and you can't be as consistent with a ball that's coming with spin plus the force of gravity hitting your paddle. You just can't be as accurate with it as if you let some of that force go into the ground, right? Newton's laws, equal and opposite reaction. So energy has to exit the ball to have it bounce back up. So now spin is left the ball. It's not spinning as much, and it's not coming as hard. But the whole point is that you can't get there when you have your back leaning at that angle. You will naturally lean forward and take that ball in the air because your brain knows that you don't have enough time to get to the right position. And so I think this is a body technique breakdown. As you can see right here, he's doing it again where he's leaning more forward instead of bending with his knees. And I think he's just getting a little tired. And so as we progress here, progress back to this, we see he just goes down, not with the knees, but with the back. And that's the issue. So another nice long point. And so sometimes it is just smart. Wear your opponent out at the kitchen line. If their technique breaks down before yours, if they're not as in good a shape and they haven't done these long dink battles, and there's a little minor flaw in their technique, it's something that you can exploit as the points get longer and go further. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to hit yellow balls. You can just be hitting those shots and have them not come back over. And as we can see, Tellez makes another error, and that game is over. So basically what started to occur, as we can see here, I'm going to back it up a couple more hits. J.W. Johnson hits the ball. He once again leans in and takes it out of the air. They come back around with it. He lets that one bounce, and when he lets that one bounce, because he was once again leaning, he doesn't hit that one correctly, doesn't put any real weight into that right leg of his to be able to push off of it to hit it back, and 2 straight errors on his part, and that game is over. Guys, we always break up these videos match by match, so if you want to see the full analysis of all of the games from this championship match between these four. Be sure to check out future videos, which will get released. But you've been watching Champs Pickleball. Thanks for watching. Hope this analysis helped you. This has been course 452, and we will see you guys next time.